Did you know that one of the most shocking movies ever made was almost destroyed forever? Not by critics, but by the studio that created it. Hello and welcome. Imagine a story so powerful, so frightening, that it felt like touching a live wire. The Devils is that story. It's a dark tale from a long time ago about a town gone mad with fear and a priest fighting for his life. But the secrets behind the camera are even wilder than the story on screen. The struggle to make this film was a battle of its own. So grab a cozy blanket and let your curiosity light up. Let's dive in and discover 20 weird and amazing facts about the Devils. Number 20. The city built from nothing. The movie shows a huge walled city called Loudun, but this city was not real. The filmmakers built every single part of it from scratch on a big empty lot. They used wood and plaster to make towers, streets, and churches. It was like the biggest, most detailed sandcastle you could ever imagine. For the actors, walking onto that set felt like stepping through a time machine into the past. They could touch the walls and walk the streets of a place that only existed for this story. That wasn't just a set, it was a whole world made by hand. Number 19. The Vanishing Walls. That amazing city had a secret. The giant walls surrounding it were designed to fall down, not by accident, but on purpose, for a famous scene. The director wanted the walls to crumble as the soldiers rushed in to show that nothing was safe. The special effects team set up careful explosions and used wires to make the walls collapse in just the right way. One wrong move and the whole beautiful set could have been destroyed too early. The crew held their breath every time. What looked like chaos on screen was a perfectly planned dance of destruction. Number 18. A fire that scared everyone. In one terrifying scene, a crowd throws torches and sets a door on fire with people behind it. To make this safe, the filmmakers used a special fire that burns cold. But when the cameras rolled, something went wrong. The fire spread faster and hotter than anyone expected. The actors felt the real heat on their faces. You can see the genuine panic in their eyes. They weren't just pretending to be scared of the flame. That wasn't acting. It was real fear. Number 17. The director's hidden pain. The director, Ken Russell, was known for his wild and loud style, but while making this very difficult movie, he was hiding a private sadness. His own father had passed away not long before. And put all his big feelings, the anger, the sadness, the fight against unfairness, right into the movie. The main character's struggle became his own, so when you see the priest fighting against impossible odds, you're also seeing a son dealing with his grief. The loudest scenes sometimes come from the quietest hurt. Number 16. Costumes that told stories. The costumes were not just fancy. Old-timey clothes. Each outfit was chosen to tell you something about the person wearing it. The nuns started in stiff, clean habits. As the story gets crazier, their clothes become torn and dirty. The rulers wear black and white, like a chessboard, to show they are playing a game with people's lives. Even the color of a scarf meant something special. Nothing you see on screen was an accident. Every thread was a piece of the puzzle. Number 15. The problem with the priest's hair. The actor playing Father Grandier, Oliver Reed, had very modern hair. For a priest in the 1600s, this was a big problem. The makeup team tried wigs, but Oliver hated them. They itched and looked fake. Finally, they found an old painting of a real priest with hair similar to Oliver's. They used that as their proof. They said, "See? It could be real." So Oliver kept his own hair. Sometimes history is more flexible than you think. Number 14. A very real feeling of dirt. The director wanted the audience to feel how dirty and uncomfortable life was back then, so he didn't let the cleaners touch the set. The streets were left muddy. The costumes were never washed. After days of filming, the actors' clothes were stiff with real sweat and grime. The smell on the set was said to be very strong. This helped the actors feel tired and gritty, just like their characters would have. The filth you see on screen, a lot of it was very, very real. Number 13. The Symphony of Screams. The movie has many scenes of crowds screaming, in anger, in fear, in madness. The sound team didn't just record people yelling, they created a library of screams. They recorded men, women, and children separately. They recorded screams of pain, screams of rage, and screams of terror. Then, like a composer writing music, they layered these screams together to create the perfect chaotic sound. The noise that chills your bones is a careful masterpiece of human sound. Number 12. The Lost Rape of Christ scene. One of the most famous scenes involved the nuns having a wild vision in a church. The script originally had an even more shocking moment called the Rape of Christ. It was too much for the studio. They demanded it be cut. But the director had already filmed it. For years, people thought this lost scene was gone forever, destroyed. The mystery of what it really showed became a legend. Pieces of it were later found, like clues to a puzzle no one could completely solve. What looked perfect on screen almost went wrong behind the camera. Number 11. Oliver Reed's secret preparation. Oliver Reed, who played Father Grandier, was known as a tough and loud man, but to prepare for his role as a doomed priest, he did something very quiet. He spent hours alone in a real old church. He didn't practice lines. He just sat and thought. He tried to imagine what it feels like to believe in God so strongly, while the whole world turns against you. That quiet time alone showed in his eyes. His performance wasn't just about being loud. It was about the quiet strength inside. Number 10. Vanessa's true fear. Vanessa Redgrave played Sister Jean, a nun who is twisted and complex. Her character wears a brace and has a hunchback. To get the walk right, Vanessa put stones in her shoe. The real pain helped her move in a broken way. But her true fear wasn't the physical pain. It was finding the sadness inside Sister Jean. She said she had to find a very lonely and hurt place in her own heart to play the part. The performance you see comes from a real place of deep feeling. Number 9. Food fights and laughter. With such a dark story, the set could have been a very sad place, but the actors, especially Oliver Reed, made sure it wasn't always serious. Between takes, they would play jokes. There were stories of food fights in the grand dining hall set. They would laugh and tell stories to break the tension. This helped them save their energy and real emotions for when the camera was rolling. The friendship off camera made the conflict on camera even more powerful. Number 8. The Censor's Scissors. This movie had more trouble with censors than almost any other. The people who decided what could be shown in movies were horrified. They demanded cuts, big cuts. Whole scenes were trimmed down or removed entirely. The director fought for every second. The version most people saw for years was not the complete story he wanted to tell. It was a battle between art and rules. The movie we try to watch today is still a puzzle with missing pieces. Number 6. The musical mind trick. The movie's music is beautiful and strange. It uses old-fashioned church music mixed with modern scary sounds. The composer, Peter Maxwell Davies, did this on purpose. He wanted the music to feel holy one moment and insane the next. He said he wanted to get inside the heads of the characters. So the music isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel. It guides your emotions without you even knowing it. A scary scene feels even scarier with the wrong kind of beautiful music. Number 5. A prop that became real. Father Grandier wears a simple wooden cross. It wasn't a fancy prop from a shop. The property master found an old piece of wood and carved it himself. He gave it to Oliver Reed early in filming. Oliver liked it so much that he started wearing it even when he wasn't filming. He said it helped him stay in the character's mind. The cross stopped being a prop and became a real object with meaning. Sometimes the smallest object holds the biggest magic. Number 4. The echo of real history. The movie feels like a crazy nightmare, but the scary part is that it is based on true events. In the 1600s, in a town called Loudun in France, a priest named Urbain Grandier was accused of witchcraft by nuns. The town really did fall into a panic. People really believed the nuns were possessed. The movie changes some things, but the core of the fear is real. The story reminds us that mass panic and fear can make people believe almost anything. Truth is often stranger than any fiction. Number 3. The studio that got cold feet. After spending all the money to make the film, the studio Warner Brothers had got very scared. They were worried about the bad reviews and the anger from religious groups. So they decided to hide the movie. They didn't promote it. They put it in very few theaters. It was like they were ashamed of their own creation. For a long time, it was very hard to find. A movie meant for the world was locked away in a closet. It looked like a failure, but it was a hidden masterpiece waiting to be found. Number 2. The powerful silence of the end. The movie's ending is very quiet, especially after all the noise that comes before. The main character is gone, and life goes on in a sad, simple way. The director chose to film this final scene in a single, long shot with no dialogue. He said he wanted the audience to sit with their own feeling. After being shouted at for 2 hours, the silence is the loudest part of all. It gives you time to think about everything you have seen. That quiet moment is the most important part of the whole story. Number 1. A message in a bottle for today. Why do people still talk about this scary old movie? Because it's not really about witches and priests in the past. It's a warning about what happens when people in power use fear to control others. It's about how a crowd can turn into a mob. It's about how lies can spread faster than truth. When the movie came out in 1971, the world was full of change and fear. And today, its message is just as strong. Real magic of the Devils is that it holds up a dark mirror to our own world and asks us to be brave enough to look. Bonus fact: here is a secret almost no one knows. The shocking white sets of the convent, the rooms that look so clean and bare, were inspired by a modern art exhibition. The director and his designer had seen an exhibit of white geometric sculptures. They loved how something so simple could feel so lonely and scary. They decided the nun's world shouldn't look like a dark dungeon, but like a cold, empty, white nightmare. This is why the movie looks like no other historical film. They used a vision of the future to show the past. It was a crazy idea that worked. Old tools, new magic. So, what is The Devils really about? It's easy to see the shouting and the shock. But underneath, it's a story about courage. The courage to stand alone when everyone says you are wrong. The courage to keep your humanity when others are losing theirs. Making this movie took courage too. The filmmakers fought to tell a hard truth, even when it was unpopular. That's why, after all these years, their work still speaks to us. It reminds us to question the crowd, to think for ourselves, and to protect the light of truth, no matter how strong the wind blows. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe for more. Every movie hides a truth, and we'll keep uncovering them, one story at a time. Thank you for listening, and good night.